All I ask you to do as you watch this video is just to be honest with yourself and ask your own heart, am I involved in the cult of personality? Am I somebody who suffers from cognitive dissonance? Am I drinking the Kool-Aid? If you are, then realize it, understand where you're wrong, and make the necessary corrections. We've all drunk the Kool-Aid. We've all been card-carrying members of the cult of personality to some extent. If you've ever been a fan of anything or anybody, you understand how easy it is to disconnect your critical thinking and immerse yourself in cognitive dissonance. The quotes that you see on the screen are from the person that people constantly tell me, well, at least he's better than Kamala. How is this right here better than Kamala? I'm not saying Kamala is better than him either. I'm saying they're on the same plane and they are owned. It looks like they're owned policy-wise by the same banking masters. And if that's true, then whether you vote for one or the other doesn't even matter. Even if it makes you feel good, it doesn't matter. Maybe it's more important that you feel good than to come to the knowledge of the truth. But I want to show you what Donald Trump posted yesterday. And this should concern everyone, including people who call themselves Christians. And I'm talking about the Protestant Christians because Catholic Christians probably won't have a problem with this prayer. But let's just talk about this. Saint Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our defense against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly hosts, by the power of God, cast into hell Satan and all the evil spirits who prowl about the world, seeking the ruin of souls. Amen. Apparently what this is a prayer to St. Michael that was created back in the 1890s. It says the threat to the church at the time was the Italian government's campaign against the Papal States. The 1890s text was composed and published 20 years after the capture of Rome had deprived the Pope of the last vestige of his temporal sovereignty. So Catholics probably don't have a problem with this prayer right here. But it seems to me that Protestants would if you believe what the Bible says. Because there is a commandment in the 10 Commandments saying basically you shall worship no other gods but me, and praying to the saints and praying to angels and praying to anybody other than God himself is a blasphemous act according to the scriptures. But, I don't know. Well, what's more important to you? The scriptures and your God or Donald J. Trump? I guess you're going to have to make that decision. And then you have to come to the conclusion, well, wait a second. What if holding fast to either of them is probably not a good idea? But I want to show you the mentality of the popular people who follow Donald Trump. And let me just show you, this does come from Donald Trump's official Twitter account. It's got 91.2 million followers as of today's date. But here's one of his popular followers and promoters. This is Miles Chong, and he's got 1.1 million followers, and he posted this picture and says, obscene. Libtards suffering from TDS, that's Trump derangement syndrome, have hanged a giant effigy of Donald Trump near Las Vegas. When Trump becomes president, he should jail everyone who was a part of this effigy's creation. This is from his official site, so this isn't some Photoshop thing making Miles Chong look bad. He's literally saying, if you're a part of exercising your freedom of speech, your freedom of expression. And I think this is stupid. I mean, hanging an effigy, doing all this stuff, putting a depiction of Jesus on the cross, turning it upside down and putting it in urine. I think all that is just inflammatory and unnecessary triggering. You know, you're going to make a whole lot of people upset, and you know exactly why you're doing it. It's not for artistic purposes. You're trying to trigger people. Just like the people on the right are trying to trigger the leftists, the people on the left are trying to trigger the people on the right. So would Miles Chong be okay when, or if, Kamala Harris becomes president, she jails anyone who, say, puts out a meme that was against Kamala Harris and Tim Walz? Would you be okay with that? But somehow you'd be okay if Donald Trump becomes president, that he throws into a cage anybody who built an effigy or said bad words about Donald Trump. Anybody who was a part of that kind of exercise of freedom of speech should be thrown into a cage. This sounds like it's antithetical to freedom of speech, which means Ian Miles Chong, as much as he says he's for freedom of speech, he's only for speech that he approves of, that's not offensive to him or obscene to him. I love what this Mr. Liberty right here says. He says the Constitution, freedom, and liberty are all meaningless to the cult members on the right and the left. I completely agree. This person says, imagine the outrage if someone hanged a naked Kamala Harris in a similar way. Yeah, I'm sure there would be outrage, but this doesn't mean that the person who did it or the people who did it or the people who were involved in it should be thrown into a cage because they exercised speech and expression that you didn't like. I don't condemn this at all. I'm not in support by no means, but it's freedom of speech and expression. I support this above politics as my default is freedom. Amen, Joe Williams. Common Sense Lady says the Dems expose their TDS to the world. Their hatred is off the charts. Well, she's not going to say anything about Ian Miles Chong saying that you need to be jailed for freedom of speech. And just to show you how out to lunch they actually are, someone owns the crane, someone owns the land, someone funded this, should not be difficult to find out. In other words, so we can round him up and throw him into jail. This guy hits the nail on the head. Jail looks like 1A to me. If they want to waste their money that way, fine with me. And investigate all their family members and friends. They are a threat to democracy. So, the Fox, let me ask you. If Kamala Harris and her ilk get into power, it's okay for them to investigate you if they look into your Facebook or Twitter and find out that you said something against them that they didn't like? Okay, so leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you think it's okay to jail somebody for freedom of expression because you didn't like it or you thought it was obscene? And do you think it's okay if the other gal gets into office, that it'd be okay for her to exercise tyranny on you because you said something against her that she and her fans didn't like? Also, let me know what you think about these comments from Donald Trump right here. And let me know what you think about this prayer that he cut and pasted on his Real Donald Trump Twitter page. If you're a Christian, is this in accordance, this prayer, is it in accordance with what you know and believe about the Bible and about your God? And can it rightly be said that the father of the VAXX, the self-titled father of the big pharma industrial complex, is better than Kamala Harris? Leave your thoughts in the comments section below, and I will see you in the next video.